Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made health amongst the most important priorities: security, health, and food. من بات آمنا في سربه معافا في بدنه يملك قوت يومه فكأنما حيزت له الدنيا. I'm going to speak in both languages. Maybe the interpreters will be okay. We are meeting here for the protection of children. Why? Because children are also a priority. I found this very interesting piece of poem by Gabriela Mistral, who is a Nobel Prize winning poem, and I think it deserves, really. See what it says: we are guilty of many errors and many faults. إننا نقول وإن أخطاءنا لشتى. But our worst crime is abandoning the children. ولكن خطأنا الأكبر هو إغفالنا أو إهمالنا الأطفال. Neglecting the fountain of life. إغفالنا لنبع الحياة. Many of the things we need can wait. كثير مما نبغي يمكن أن ينتظر. The child cannot, أما الطفل فلا يمكن أن ينتظر. Right now, with the time his bones are being formed. الآن عظامه تتكون. His blood is being made. ودمه يتكون. And his senses are being developed. كذلك أحاسيسه وجهازه العصبي يتكون الآن. To him we cannot answer tomorrow. إننا لا يمكن أن نقول له انتظر إلى الغد. His name is today لأن اسمه اليوم. أتمنى أن يحيلها أحد العارفين منكم إلى شاعر عربي رصين. Why children? Why children? Why bother about children, making them a priority? In most of our countries, and our countries, I mean countries in the African continent, either half or nearly half of the population are children up to the age of 15 years. So this makes them entitled to become a priority. Children are the most at risk and vulnerable in the community. هم الأكثر عرضة. They are the weakest. They are the most deprived. هم الأضعف في المجتمع. They are less covered by services. أقل تغطية بالخدمات. Nelson Mandela, a very respected African leader, is also concerned. He was also concerned about what happens to children. It is heartbreaking to think that 3 million children die each year from diseases that we can prevent. Why immunize? Why vaccinate? You all know that the progress made in medicine and in immunization program is almost coming to its end. So, some say these vaccines are not tested, and this is not true. Actually, they undergo stringent testing before they are out for use. Some people claim that vaccines contain mercury. They used to contain mercury, but since the year 2000, there was no vaccine with mercury. And by the way, mercury is there in some of the foods we eat, like tuna. Tuna has got a lot of mercury. Some people claim that it harms immunity by overwhelming the immune system, and also this is not scientific. Actually, the opposite happens. Some say these vaccines may fail. Actually, more than 90% they do not fail. But like any other medicine, they may fail in 10 or less percent. Some people speak about ethics of vaccination, and they think that it infringes the autonomy. But this is not true because of two reasons. One reason is that we always have the consent of people whom we want to vaccinate, their families at least. And the second reason that if not vaccinizing or not immunizing is going to cause harm for the rest of the people, then you can sacrifice autonomy. You can sacrifice the autonomy of the individual. Some people claim that better standards of life was the reason for the improvement in the health of children. And this is again, even though the statement is true, but it is also true that vaccines made all the difference. Vaccines made all the difference, not only in our countries, but also in the Western world. Also, some claim that infections are not serious. In fact, they are too serious to the extent that these diseases, you all know, are fatal. They can cause children to die. Again, another misinformation. Vaccines spread disease. It does the opposite, actually. It limits disease. There are some rumors around that vaccines cause sterility. And this is absolutely unfounded. It's just an imagination. And I'm going to elaborate on this later. Some say that it's against God's will, ضد المشيئة الإلهية. And I think we have been hearing since the morning that it is actually conducive to the God's will. And it's God's will that wants us to protect our children. It's not the opposite. Now, I would like to state some facts about these concerns. In all textbooks of medicine and in all medical journals, it has been ascertained that vaccination was a great public health achievement. Perhaps it is one of the most important achievements in public health. It has been practiced for 2 centuries. These are some of the older vaccines, but if we consider from the 48, the major vaccines that we're talking about now, is almost how many years since the 48 now? More than half a century. And of course, they stood the test of time. And there's no question about safety. It did decrease disease, as I said, by more than 90%. Unfortunately, most of the people who make these claims get their information from the internet. And the internet, as has been proved by research, 6% of internet sources are misleading. You see, that's why in medicine we talk of authentic websites, authentic internet website. That's scientific. Whatever is written there is trusted. But unfortunately, most of the rubbish comes in these 60%. And many people, unfortunately, keep trying and repeating these. Of course, there is no absolute safety. It's just like any medication. Most medications have varying degrees and proportions of safety. We didn't claim at all that. How can we minimize these ethical concerns? We need to enhance awareness on the vaccines, on the diseases that we vaccinate against, and in the risks of vaccines and risks of these diseases. We also need to address the vaccine safety concerns for the whole community, and I have got one slide about the safety vaccines. I think it is relevant to you to know these very well, because you will always be confronted with people who are going to cast doubts on what you tell them. We also need to promote public understanding of what we mean by herd immunity. To achieve or to attain herd immunity, we need to immunize more than 80% of the children in the community. So we need to explain this to Muslim scholars and eventually to recipients. Now, this is a slide on vaccine safety. I would like you to concentrate with me here, Muslim scholars. because this is where you should be most concerned, and also the families. And this is the reason for not only resenting but also reluctance in bringing children to vaccination. As I said earlier, most of these concerns are based on misinformation and misperception from faulty sites, faulty sources in the internet. And as I said earlier also, vaccines are like drugs. And all drugs have side effects, but the adverse effects of vaccines are really minor, really trivial, because these vaccines are developed with the highest standards of quality, and they underwent safety tests by manufacturers, all safety tests by manufacturers, and it's a long process actually. Further, they are licensed by top authorities in the field. For example, in the United States, it's the FDA that licenses these vaccines, and all of you who know about the FDA, they are very, very strict. They wouldn't allow anything in the market, food or drug, before it is approved. Many of the vaccines are made in the WHO factories, or factories approved by the WHO to make vaccines. And I'm sure you know also that vaccines are now made in Muslim countries. There are more than one factory in Africa, and I think there are ones in Indonesia and Mali in Africa, and I think starting one in Nigeria now, and Brunei and Indonesia. They have. I mean, saying this, there are obstacles to effective vaccination. We should be aware of these so that to overcome them. There are economic and political obstacles, social, cultural, structural, logistical, and scientific, medical. I'm not going to be elaborating on these actually, but maybe when Brother Imran is going to distribute these presentations, I'm going to give him elaboration on these obstacles. The weak scientific base in most of our countries, the limited infrastructure, the limited resources, and I think these 2 points, limited infrastructure and limited resources, are going to be discussed at large in the ministerial conference. And this is the purpose of having these ministers of finance and ministers of health. We need to create demand and let families and people demand these vaccines, and this is a big challenge. We also need motivation and legislation, and we need to invest in Islamic teachings. We have heard a lot this morning on this, so we need to invest in these teachings, and we need to invest in community leaders. And most of you, Muslim scholars, are also community leaders. What are the challenges for success? We need to maximize our benefit from the media. We need to use all advocacy for the purpose, and also to, as much as possible, to get our vaccines from Muslim countries, so that no one would say there is a conspiracy. Actually, there was no conspiracy. There was no conspiracy. But if we are going to have our vaccines from Muslim countries, this is going to be reassuring. And we need to learn from success. And I'm going to give the experience of India to learn from. And this is very important. We better learn from success than learn by trial and error. We are in the era where learning by trial and error is very costly. We cannot afford it. So we have to learn from success. والحكمة ضالة إيش؟ أن وجدها فهو أولى الناس بها. What is the role of physicians? You also need to know our roles so that if you don't get it, if we are not doing it, you have to alert us to that. Our basic role is to provide information, authentic information, and to refute the misinformation and the misperceptions on risks and benefits of vaccines. We need to correct these misinformations and perceptions. And of course, we need to deliver this or convey this to the Muslim scholars. And now, what do we expect of you, Muslim scholars, شيوخنا الأفاضل؟ ماذا نريد؟ ماذا نتوقع منكم؟ أولاً, you are very influential in the community. You can mobilize communities to be conducive to the cause. Your role is to dispel family fears and misconceptions. Encourage communities to come to vaccination, and by making partnership with others, governments, NGOs, doctors, anyone who can help. And let us follow the example of the Prophet. Prophet ﷺ used to have doctors who treated him. Amongst them was Al-Harith ibn Kilda, and he wasn't known to be a Muslim. So we should take the example of the Prophet. The message that you can impart is that immunization is a duty, as have been affirmed by our brother Salahuddin from Chad this morning. The Prophet said, "Tadawu ibad Allah, seek remedy for sickness. Do not kill your children. لا تقتلوا أولادكم." أيضا حديث رسول, a strong believer is much better than a weak believer. وفي كل خير. Now, strategies for success. We need to adopt innovative and culturally sensitive. And I like this sensitivity, the word mentioned twice by one of the commentators earlier, that we have to sensitize. Sensitizing is very, very important. We have to use scientifically sound means. And we have to build program ownership, accelerate safer vaccines. By the way, safer and safer vaccines are coming all the time. We need to use proactive media strategy, and we need to team with Muslim scholars. And this is the purpose of meeting. More of strategies for success. We need to base our plans on data, also on rigorous monitoring, effective communication, and community-led initiatives. Raise funding locally and globally, and you will hear much about it later. Address reasons for reluctance. And there are already studies showing the causes for. Now, this is India's success experience. They were perseverant in getting community leaders to get engaged with the vaccination effort, adapting strategies to shifting their